1, 2.
I am Jeff Wellborn, and I will be presiding chairman for this meeting. Would you all please join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have, I heard Commissioner Fielder, you're on. Commissioner Bukasek, are you online as well?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We do have a quorum present, 3 commissioners in the room, Commissioner Pinocci, Commissioner Molnar, and myself. Commissioner Wellborn joining us online are Commissioners Bukasek and Fielder. So there are 5 commissioners present. Next, we will move to public comment. Are there public commenters in the room?
Mr. President, if I might.
Mr. Green, of course.
Mr. President and Commissioners, my name is Mike Green. I'm the Associate General Counsel of Northwestern Energy. Here to talk to you today about the matter that you're going to consider during your out-of-cycle work session this afternoon. I want to first apologize to you and your staff that we hadn't kept you better apprised of our plans with the coal strip plant. We're trying to rectify that, and we've provided some information to your staff that I'm sure they will share with you. And happy to, Mr. President, with your indulgence, I'm happy to sit for questions that any of you have today about what we're doing with coal strip. I know that's a little bit out of the normal course, but I'm happy to do that. I'll try to cover this briefly, but what we have done with the coal strip, with the Puget Sound Energy share that we intend to acquire on 1/1/26, is we've made a decision to assign that those assets, to assign that contract to acquire those assets from the current utility over to a non-utility subsidiary that we created under the parent company, which is outside of the utility ring fencing. We've done that to protect customers from the increase in O&M that will come along with the Puget share, and also to provide us an opportunity to cover some of those costs and our regulated utility and a cost recovery mechanism that works for us and for customers. We've done that, and we've had discussions about what other options we considered, and there's certainly rate cases, there's trackers, there's deferred accounting orders, there's lots of different kinds of mechanisms where you could try to get rate recovery under more traditional means and under a way that the company has done that. But Northwestern Energy finds itself in a position it has not been since we've started to reconstitute the old Montana Power Company. We've found ourselves long on generation, or about to be long on generation. And so we're trying to figure out a way now where we can manage that capacity, the excess capacity that we're acquiring, because you have to get generation in big chunks. You can't buy it in just the bits that you need it. We've had these opportunity resources come to us for zero capital investment, but they come with significant ongoing O&M costs. We think it's going to be a great deal for customers once we get it into rate base and once our load grows to justify that addition. But for the time being, we don't need those 370 megawatts in our utility to serve our customers, and we don't think that our customers, and we don't think our customers should pay, and we don't think you'd allow us to recover the costs of that particular plant in our rates until we're able to come in and justify that. So we've moved this over into we will be moving those assets or acquiring those assets, excuse me, in this FERC regulated subsidiary. We've filed with FERC for approval to sell that. We've entered into a long-term contract that will get us up until about Q4 of 2027, when we think that our load growth where we're going to be back into a short position and may need to look at adding some additional resources into our portfolio. So the commission, in its wisdom, imposed ring fencing when we did our restructuring order in 2023, or when it did our restructuring order in 2023. So these assets are going to be outside of that ring fencing, and we will not be able to get cost recovery of the O&M from that. We will not be able to get cost recovery from customers. We won't be able to ask for that in rates. The shareholders of Northwestern Group will bear the burden of the expenses that we're incurring on that. We've tried to mitigate that impact by entering into this long-term contract, but we fully expect that we're going to lose some money on that transaction as it moves forward. And so we've had some discussions about whether or not we should have come to the commission and sought your approval. I will submit to you, we probably should have told you what we were doing, but I will also respectfully submit we didn't need to, and there was no basis for us to ask for approval. These were not assets that were in rate base. They're not assets that we've ever owned. We are assigning the contract for very good reasons so that it never touches our utility. We don't want these assets to come to the utility until the commission has had an opportunity to review the prudency of the operation of that plant and its service to customers in a future case. We hope and we are confident we can convince you that that makes sense, but we couldn't do that before January 1 of 2026. And so we've gone down this FERC regulated path in a way to prevent the biggest the possible loss for shareholders and in a way that shields customers from those ongoing expenses. There've been a lot of moving parts for the company and for the commission over the last few months as we've tried to think about how we're going to bring these assets on. We've gone through and we're well on our way to filing our integrated resource plan. That plan reinforced what we already knew, which was the company was long on generation with the addition of Avista, which is coming into the utility on January 1. So that's 222 megawatts of Colstrip, which will start serving our customers on January 1, 2026. We've got other stuff in front of you to try to cover some of those costs, which are not before you today and which we won't get into. But the options for cost recovery on Puget, in light of the lack of need for the Puget share, it just didn't make sense for us to do that. So I want to step back because Northwestern Energy was committed to the long-term success of Colstrip. In order to do that, we needed to have majority control of that plant. The Puget acquisition gives us long-term control of that plant. By placing this in the FERC-regulated subsidiary, though, we don't have to ask our customers to pay for us to have that. So our Montana utility has control over will have control over the destiny of the Colstrip plant, but our shareholders are going to bear the expense of that until we come back to the commission and justify the addition of that resource. We have contracted away the output of that plant, again, to mitigate our costs, but we've timed that contract so that it rolls off and will terminate right around the same time that our current planning documents and the resource adequacy documents show that we're going to have a need. It also coincides with the potential to start adding data center loads if the commission gives us approval to do that. That would be the earliest that we would expect to see data centers kind of coming up and running and expanding in Montana. So we've been very careful about contracting this resource in a way that leaves it available and provides us the maximum flexibility to use this very important state treasure of the Colstrip plant to bring it back into the utility and to serve our customers. With that, Mr. President, Commissioners, I understand your concerns about the FERC process. We don't think that the commission needs to or should be participating in that docket. And if you do, we certainly hope that you would support what the company is doing to keep this resource available for utility customers in the future and to mitigate away the costs of holding that for the next, the next seven calendar quarters or so. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have about what we're doing with Colstrip and what our plan is with the FERC filings.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I believe probably the most prudent, I would defer to legal staff on this, but probably if there's any questions, it would be best if we did that. At one point, we opened a docket on this subject rather than asking questions of the utility today. I mean, what?
I would like to ask I think it's a procedural question if I could.
Yeah, we can, that's okay. Vice President Fielder.
Okay, thank you. Without going into the substance or the merits of Northwestern's decision here, what I would like to ask Mr. Green is, I noticed in your response to the commission when we inquired about this that you indicated that the Northwestern had asked the Western Power Pool to adjust the capacity projections and get approval from the Western Power Pool to remove the Puget share from that, and that then Northwestern would update or correct its compliance filings with the PSC. And I was just wondering what kind of time frame that you are on for that to be resolved, because it seems that we have some compliance filings that are incorrect at this point now because of this decision.
Mr. President, is it okay if I answer that question? So, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, we didn't ask permission from the Western Power Pool. So the RAP program is a reporting structure or a reporting process, excuse me. And the way, and I can't remember, your staff can probably help out. There's a standing Montana Commission order that requires us to file our updated compliance filings, for Northwestern Energy to file its updated compliance filings once those have been reviewed and accepted by the Western Power Pool. So they administer the RAP program. And so we in April of 2024, for example, filed an updated RAP projection that included our anticipated Avista share because we had signed that agreement. When we signed the Puget agreement at the end of July of 2024, we submitted another updated compliance or an updated RAP projection sheet to the WPP showing the anticipated addition of that Puget share. And then when we now in this fall, after we've made the decision to assign that those assets will go to this non-rig, we will update the filing with the WPP, and then your order requires us to file that compliance filing with the commission as soon as it's been accepted by, my understanding is basically WPP checks our math on the RAP. They'll tell us, yeah, that works for us. And then we update the commission on that. It really is not, it is compliant in that we're required to file that with an order, but it isn't part of a commission process.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if I just may follow up, I guess what I'm trying to get to is what's the time frame for that update to the PSC?
Mr. President, Vice President Fielder, I will get that information and provide it to your staff. I think it will be in the new year, but I'm not confident on that timing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Are there any other?
Mr. President?
Yes, Will.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to clarify one thing with respect to your question about asking the utility additional questions that may be more substantive rather than procedural. And that is just that although that is sort of unusual in a commission work session, we don't have a pending docket that involves this matter. So if the commission wanted to ask some other types of questions, I don't think there's anything that bars them from doing that.
Okay. Commissioner Panochi.
Thank you. I'm excited that we're getting a greater share because my district is telling me that we have tremendous growth and that there are concerns that we can't serve the power needs, which could be in front of us very quickly. You'd agree that Montana's seeing tremendous growth in electrical needs, construction. Is that true?
Mr. President, Commissioner Panochi, I think that we are seeing tremendous growth as compared to what we have historically seen. I think what you're talking about and what I suspect your constituents are talking about is the large load growth that we're seeing around the country that has not come to Montana yet. This plan allows us to serve both the organic growth, whether those data centers come or not, and we think it puts us in charge of our own energy destiny by having owning the controlling share of this plant. But it also puts us in a position to start serving in a way that's cost economical for all of our customers, those new large loads, to the extent we can figure that out.
Well, I understand in Great Falls, they're telling me that construction is set back on companies because they don't believe they can serve energy. Is this a concern that you guys agree with, or do you think that any load that could be faced in Cascade County in the Great Falls area could be met with no problem? Because I'm being told that this is preventing business from making decisions. What are your thoughts there?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Panochi, I'm not going to say that we can serve any load. We do think that we can, that Northwestern Energy can serve large customer loads. I will also say to you, I think that this is going to be in a partnership with the commission. The commission has taken the position that we can't serve those loads without its consent and its approval, and we've accepted that position, and we intend to move forward and present to you a large load tariff that will allow us to do that. Today, the short answer is we can't deliver that energy to those customers. In the regulatory and the electrical environment that we have today, we couldn't serve a 200 megawatt data center today. We absolutely can upgrade our system in a way that allows us to serve those customers in a way that we think is good for the overall economy of Montana. Probably at worst is no harm to our existing customers, and we think more likely will actually result in some savings and efficiencies that we'll be able to share with our legacy customers and still meet those energy needs. But that's a process we need to go through with you in front of us.
Well, thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at this. And I was trying to listen carefully, and I do believe as your own company, you can make decisions. So let's say you take this extra load, and the ratepayer is not going to pay for some of those responsibilities. But let's say we run into a shortage of energy and we're going to have to reach outside the state to get electricity, and we might have to pay 10 times more for it. Will I be able to come to you first for this energy, or in the event we're short, we can't touch this energy because you've made an agreement that it has to go somewhere else, and the ratepayer they don't have a right to it because they don't have any responsibility to pay? What are your thoughts there? In an emergency or in a situation where I've got to pay a lot more to bring it in when we have this cold snap, tell me, will I be able to get it and save the ratepayer lots of money?
Mr. President, Commissioner Panochi, we have engaged in an option with our counterparty Mercuria Energy that we will be able to access that power if we need it at market prices. FERC regulation restricts our ability to get good deals for ourselves, including our customers. And so while we've contracted this away for this 21-month period, that we'll be paying market prices. If we have to go to that, if we ever needed to go to that, we have access to that capacity, but we would be paying market prices.
Okay, sure want the commission to be thinking about that question as we move forward. All right, now let's talk about this interconnection between North Dakota and Colstrip. This is going to allow us to move more energy than we have in the past, which is a really good time for you to have more energy to give. Also, I disagree with Northwest Energy's position that reconductoring the lines between Colstrip and Washington have no benefit. There is benefit. We will be able to carry a heavier load in Washington and Oregon, and California need more power, which puts you in a very good position to move that power down those lines. That must be a consideration of moving forward, which is no problem at all. I just think it's worth talking about that the timing of getting this greater generation, which I support. I want more generation because I believe with more generation, we can bring prices down. But that must have been part of your thought process when gaining more of Colstrip because of the interconnection and the possibility of moving more power than we have because we have greater transmission. Was that part of the decision?
Mr. President, Commissioner Panochi, so there was a multitude of factors that went into this decision. We again are committed to the long-term health and stability of the Colstrip plant. All of those decisions are certainly not lost on us. Those are future eventualities, right, which we hope will certainly develop. They take time, though. That is not going, none of what you just talked about will exist on January 1, 2026. So to your, I think the point maybe that I'll try to get to for you is we absolutely see a huge opportunity for this resource. We want it to serve our customers. We want it to make our customers' rates more affordable. And we want this facility to serve Montanans and to serve the economy of this state. We don't think that can happen on January 1. We don't think we need it in the utility, and we don't think it's fair to ask our customers to pay for it on January 1, 2026. So we're putting that off for a few months, but we are absolutely holding that resource to be able to respond to that and many other things that I'm not sure any of us can even think about in 2027 forward.
Well, I think the timing is perfect on that.
All right. Commissioner Molnar has a couple of narrowly focused questions. He assures me.
Narrowly.
And I just, as succinct as possible, sir, we still got to get through staff and their thoughts and try to be out of here by about 5 o'clock. So,
Okay, I've checked 2 of these questions with legal to make sure I wasn't tripping something up here. And a third one's come up that I'm sure won't trip anything up. But can you confirm, Mr. Green, that these dropkey acquisitions did not come with transmission lines or transmission capacity, or did they?
Could you restate that? I'm sorry.
Did the dropkey acquisitions we're talking about come with transmission capacity, or are we relying on the CU4 capacity to transmit anything out of there, which might not handle everything? I'm not sure.
Mr. President, Commissioner Molnar, the acquisitions did not come with any transmission capacity.
Okay, thank you.
So, but let me, in all candor, part of the Puget, because Puget will no longer have an active interest in Colstrip, it is assigning, it is selling to us, it is selling to to Northwestern some capacity on the Colstrip transmission system from Colstrip to Broadview. And so that, but again, so under that arrangement, the new 370 PU, I call it, it's a very creative name, but the Colstrip Puget share and affiliate will become a transmission customer of Puget Energy, and we will deliver energy under our contract to the Broadview substation.
And that'll be at FERC rates.
That we will pay Puget Sound Energy its FERC rates,
right.
Correct.
Okay. Second one, also okayed by legal staff. You mentioned the 222 megawatts for the second half of CU4. Those are not mentioned in your FERC filing. Where in process or planning is the 222 megawatts from Avista that we currently do not own in CU4?
Mr. President, Commissioner Molnar. So it's actually it's a 222 megawatt interest in both 3 and 4. So this is a 2-shaft resource. Both Puget and Avista are both units 3 and 4. So it's a 15% share of that facility that is scheduled to close at midnight on January 1, 2026, and we are diligently moving that transaction forward.
So the Avista share is included in your 370, which 370 from Puget and 222 do not come to 370. I'm not understanding your answer.
Mr. President, Commissioner Molnar, those are 2 separate interests. So we are acquiring a 370 megawatt interest from Puget Sound Energy. So Puget owns 25% of units 3 and 4. We will be acquiring that asset in our non-utility affiliate. We are acquiring Avista's 222 megawatt, 15% share in the utility. So those are 2 separate shares. And so that's 592 megawatts total, not 370.
Right. And my question is, in your FERC filing, you talk about the 370. Where are the other 222 in planning or process for acquisition and or distribution?
Mr. President, Commissioner Molnar, those are coming to the utility. So those will not be, that we're not doing a FERC filing relative to those. We'll have to file a change in status report that you do with any acquisition. We file that after Q1 of 2026, after we acquire those assets and own them. We'll provide a change in status notice, but those will be regulated utility assets.
Okay, and last but not least, the fly ash contamination remediation. Are you assuming that and taking that over on behalf of Puget and Avista? Or are they taking that over, or are they maintaining their liability obligations as filed with the EQ?
Mr. President, Commissioner Molnar, the remediation and retirement liabilities for the Puget and Avista shares are staying with those utilities.
Thank you very much.
I'm trying to think, do staff have any thoughts that you would like to share, or should I just open this up to discussion among the commission? Well, first of all, let me back up a little. Are there any other public commenters? I don't see any in the room. Are there any online? Okay, seeing none. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Did you, I guess, first of all, does either of the commissioners joining us remotely have anything to add to the conversation before we move on?
Mr. President, I don't see Commissioner Bukacek raising her hand or unmuting, so I'll take a stab at that, if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So we are very short on time, as we are obligated to let our staff go by 5 and close the doors. But I understand that there may be a potential motion that deals with potentially intervening in the FERC docket regarding Northwestern's filing on ER 26-129. And I believe that we need to, because it's litigation, we can go into a closed session to do that, or we could, if the commission would be satisfied with a very, very, very tight single purpose motion with basically an up or down vote on whether to proceed with uh, securing some legal services for that. I think that we would probably need to handle that. I think we could handle that in public session if we don't have discussion other than, for or against the expenditure. But I think that if we're going to have further discussion than that, we probably need to put this on our schedule and have time to be able to go into a closed session and really flesh this out, the potential litigation aspects of it. But for today, I think what we could do is entertain a motion that allows us to move ahead and still gives us time to not be fully committed to anything, and then have time to meet and have a much more thorough discussion on the subject.
State your motion.
Okay, Mr. President, I would move under the IPM procurement policy 2.6.2 that the Public Service Commission seek legal services to request late intervenor status in FERC docket ER 26-129. And if there's a second, I will explain that.
I would second that.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. President and Commissioners, I believe this motion largely allows the commission to proceed on a very limited basis with some limited legal services just to see if we can obtain intervenor status. We would have to be requesting late intervenor status, and so that's a very limited legal action. And if we are able to do that, by the time we're able to receive an answer on that, I think we will have a better idea on whether we want to proceed with a broader set of legal services that may exceed that limit that's in the procurement policy of section 2.6.2, which is a $5,000 limit. It's a very small limit, but it allows us to move very quickly and obtain services to explore filing late intervention request and also receiving legal counsel on whether that is advisable or not.
And if my memory serves me correctly, Vice President Fielder, under 2.6.2, the $5,000 cap on that is what allows us to pursue the discussion further without going to RFP. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, that's correct. It's called the small purchase provision in our procurement policy, and it's done through a purchase order. So it allows the department to use a purchasing technique that best meets our needs for all purchases that are $5,000 or less. And we should follow prudent purchasing practices and receive competitive quotations where practical. But it's not required, so it will be very flexible. And I would recommend that you have our chief of staff work with procurement staff and legal and regulatory staff as needed to put together the scope and get that ball rolling. And then I think we need to schedule a lengthier commission meeting to go into the remainder of the details about this.
And I duly noted. I would also, I mean, what kind of the brevity that it adds to help us onboard into this process, if we choose to go down that road, I think this is probably the most efficient way at this point in time to go this. So I will be supporting the motion. Is there further discussion?
I have a question for staff.
President Molnar has a question. Go ahead.
Commissioner Molnar.
Or Commissioner, sorry. Old
Bill,
habits die hard.
okay, we recently did a technical master for the fire remediation. We used the $25,000 or less criterion to get 3. Time-wise, because we're behind the 8 ball and getting more so every day. Would we be as well off or better off going with that process and simply doing the RFP and get their feedback as to what they can do for the intervention? And because so much has already been done, that would be identical, about half by MEIC. I think it drops a lot. That'd be cut and paste, and then our issues would be different. Are we faster by simply going with that process and going forward? Or are we faster going with Commissioner Fielder's idea. And if we do that, then do we still have to do the 25,000 or less? Because $5,000 doesn't get you very far in this process.
I'd like to explain my motion if I could.
Get an answer from
Can you take a light stab at that, Will, first, and then I'll get back to you, Commissioner Fielder. Thanks.
Mr. President, Commissioner Molnar, the short answer is I don't know. I have not done a procurement on anything under the part of the IPM that limits it to $5,000. I don't have any way of knowing at this point, how we would go about reaching out to potential outside counsel and what scope we would be presenting them for feedback on. So I really can't say which process might be faster at this point.
Commissioner Fielder.
Well, I can say, because the small purchase provision is the absolute fastest that we have available to us. We have great flexibility with that, although we have a cap of $5,000. And I understand that if the commission decides that it wants to go further into this, then a limited solicitation process, as Commissioner Molnar brought up, would be the route to go that would enable us to seek a contract between 5,000 and 25,000. But I don't feel that we're at that point of knowing whether we have the legal basis, because for a FERC intervention, we would have to not only state our reason for requesting the late intervention, but also the basis in fact and law for that position. And until we know what the basis of fact and law is for that position, I don't think we need to contract kind of an open checkbook law firm. I think we should get that question answered first and seek just requesting to get in as a late intervener, which does not take a lot of effort. But it does have to be in a certain form to meet the federal requirements for filing. So this would be fast. It would allow us to move quickly. We don't have to seek competitive quotations, but we can if we have some that we like to reach out to get quotes from. We can do that. But if we have a particular one that's ready to go, this would give us the flexibility to engage with that particular one on this limited basis. And as I said, in the meanwhile, we're buying a little bit of time to further flesh this out and determine whether we have that legal basis in fact and law, and whether we want to move to a more expensive agreement. And I just don't know. I don't have those answers yet. But I'd like to at least try to get our foot in the door, or get professional legal counsel to see if getting our foot in the door has a basis in fact and law on this. I wish Northwestern would have come and talked to us. I think they should have. I think that this could have potentially been avoided if they had. I appreciate Mr. Green opening his remarks during public comment with apologizing for not keeping the commission better informed. I think if they would have, we wouldn't be in this situation. But they didn't. And so, and there's a clock ticking, and Northwestern set that clock ticking by making their filing in October. And it was a very tight time frame for being able to intervene, 15 days from that. And I don't think we even learned about it until that period was extended or nearly expired. So I think we're at where we're at, and I think we can do this. I'd like to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible. So that's why I did review Commissioner Molnar's draft motion. And Commissioner Molnar, this is not meant to preclude what you're trying to do. It's meant to expedite but narrow it at the same time.
Can I have a question of Commissioner Fielder? Commissioner Fielder, kind of off the cuff here, I would like to propose that we do both. We can do, I don't think we can get much in the way of interest from a FERC law firm for $5,000. They might not get any. But to put that out there, and also put out the $25,000 one to get three at the same time. If somebody tells us, yes, this is a really good idea, no, you're not going to make it, which everything I've checked says that we're absolutely probable to be accepted by FERC, which, by the way, after we file that, they have 15 days to answer us. So that buys us some time. But to do that and see if we get any response for $5,000, as well as what I have here at the same time, because those people can also answer in their bid whether or not they think that we will be accepted as a late intervener and why. And if we find one that's good, we're ready to move as opposed to ready to start moving for the second time. Because it's my understanding that we will be accepted as a late intervener. However, if FERC has ruled on any part of what we're asking them to rule on, we can't get involved in that. It's already over. So it's very important to be in there at the earliest opportunity. This morning I got notice that they had moved on 2 issues already after a 33-day deadline. They were shut down. Probably have a pile from here to the ceiling, but they are moving. And it's very important, I believe, to bifurcate this and take both steps. Both are an email and a posting. Neither one costs anything to move forward with both. I believe to be expeditious. What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Commissioner Molnar, for asking. Well, procedurally, I think we could take them up as 2 separate motions. The limited solicitation procedure that you're talking about is more cumbersome. It does have to comply with the State Procurement Bureau process, so it takes more time. So, I mean, if we pass my motion to allow small purchases, we could at least start discussions right away without waiting for those other quotes to come in. And then if you're successful at getting a limited solicitation motion passed today, then I guess we could be seeking that as well. But I'm not comfortable with that at this point because I'm I'm not certain that we have the basis in fact in law, and I don't want to get into the legal arguments in an open session. I think we need to do that in a closed session. So I would suggest we pass this motion for the 5,000 today and then schedule a meeting where we can go into closed session and have a discussion about the legal merits, particular because I think there are merits, but I think we should discuss those in closed session and then potentially determine if we want to go with a bigger swing at this with more legal power.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Bukasek.
I'll be very brief. I will be supporting Vice President Fielder's motion. I think there's a very good chance that Northwestern's reasoning and their procedurally that it's correct. And to go until we have some arguments against sound arguments against what they're doing, I don't think we should go further. I'll support her motion.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, I call for the question. All in favor of Commissioner Fielder's motion as stated, would you, before we vote on it, just for the record, Vice President, would you track through your motion again for us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to restate it for the commission, and then I will email it to the commission secretary so she's got a clean copy of it. But the motion is per IPM proceedings, procurement policy, under the IPM procurement policy 2.6.2, I move that the PSC secure legal services to request late intervener status in FERC docket ER 26-129. And I meant to say seek, not secure. So let me rephrase that. Under IPM procurement policy 2.6.2, I move that the PSC seek legal services to request late intervener status in FERC docket ER 26-129.
If this passes, then can I make a second one so
Yes.
that we have
Of course,
opportunity for 2 lanes?
of course. All right, all in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by saying aye.
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 It passes unanimously, 5-0, voting in the affirmative.
Mr. Chairman, I have a second motion.
Would you open on your motion, please?
Chairman, I would like to make the following motion. This would be in addition to, not in exception to, the one we just passed. I move that we direct staff to post an RFP for legal representation for the Montana Public Service Commission concerning a late introduction of a petition to intervene on FERC docket ER 26-129. Must have experience with compliance filing sections 203 and 205. Bid should be $25,000 or less. If less than $25,000, direct that they may be replied, that they may be applied to reply briefs, respond to, etc. Staff to make substantive edits, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion.
I'll chime in.
Go ahead, and then Commissioner Pinocci has a question for staff. Commissioner Fielder.
Okay. Issuing an RFP is a somewhat time-consuming, intensive process to develop the request for proposals and to go through the State Procurement Bureau process. And we have extremely limited resources within the agency right now with everything already on our plate. So I would resist this motion unless and until we've been able to have a broader discussion, a deeper discussion about the merits of our position and whether we should dedicate more resources to it. And I think once we procure some legal services for this first step, we'll have a better idea of whether this other one is necessary. And that may be very quickly that we know that, but we don't know it today. And so I think it's premature to ask staff to go through that process of doing the RFP at this point until we have better information about whether that is a good use of our public resources or not.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinocci. For staff.
My question was, should we have a second before we have discussion?
That's a great question. Talking about trying to get the cart ahead of the horse. Yeah, we probably should have. It was there a second to Commissioner?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded.
And I have a question for the sponsor.
Yes, go ahead.
Commissioner Molnar, your goal here is for lower rates for the ratepayer. Is that correct? Could you explain that to us?
Yes, pretty much along the lines of what I tried on the rate case. We can use every one of those megawatts and they can greatly reduce, I believe, and I think the math would show rates in Montana by about 50% for residential customers, resulting in rates quite possibly lower in Utah, which right now have the lowest in the nation. And that's why I'm so insistent on doing this.
Further discussion within the confines of the motion itself. I do have a question for staff. I mean, can anybody give me a little bit of sense of what we would be looking at for time through the RFP process to onboard? I mean, if we choose to go that route, but just kind of how long that process takes.
Well, Mr. President, Commissioners, in the case of the wildfire technical master, assuming that we have a clearly established scope of work, it didn't take more than, I believe, a week for us to put out the solicitation, get the bids, and make a selection.
Okay, fair enough. Do you have kind of just thinking out loud as you heard Commissioner Fielder's motion, if that was the tool of choice, how long would a process like that take? Or, I mean, if you need to redirect that question, you're welcome to, but if we kind of go that, what are we looking at time-wise to kind of get us to the same decision point, if you will, as where we are right now with Commissioner Molnar's motion?
Well, Mr. President, Commissioners, I might defer that to David.
Fair
You
enough.
heard that Commissioner Fielder mentioned it's a very quick process. I've never used the process myself, so it would be a matter of, I guess, I'll leave it to David to answer how quickly he thinks he could find a qualified attorney to advise us.
Mr. Smith.
Chairman, I'm not sure that I can really give you a good answer on that. I have received an offer to engage from an attorney the other day that had cleared the conflict process with his firm as far as Northwestern is concerned. That's all I know about that particular individual. But I do know this, having talked with my staff who contacted FERC at my direction, they thought that the tariff case could actually be concluded on or about December 13th. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know who my staff person actually talked to. I don't know how accurate that is. So it's possible that we're talking about a very short time period.
Okay, that's, and I'm truly asking this for my own, because I'm kind of at a, I'm conflicted here, because I mean, I recognize just how stretched our resources are here from a human resources standpoint in our legal division. But I also, it takes me back to the old Wyatt Earp quote. It's fast is fine, but accuracy is final, but we need to take our time in a hurry, and this might be one of those times. So I guess with that being said, is there any other discussion on Commissioner Molnar's motion?
If not, I'd like to close.
Well, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I just, the question here is, how much staff resources do we want to dedicate right now? And agency resources? Or do we want to keep it narrow and limited and then make a better informed decision? And I would suggest that it is very cumbersome upon staff to put together, not just staff, the commissioners as well, to put together a RFP and get it out there and then field the responses and then evaluate the responses. And it's just a time-consuming process that takes up work hours that right now are very limited, especially at this time with the amount of work that we have on our plate. So I think it's premature to pull the trigger on that. I think we need better information before we decide to commit resources to doing that. And I think we can get that information just by competent consultation with FERC registered practitioners, and just kind of see where we're at and whether we have, whether there's strong merit to the legal arguments or not.
And Commissioner Fielder, that's why, I mean, unless I'm not tracking with staff, it almost seems like the RFP process could go as quick, or at least simultaneously as fast as going this route. But I guess my fear is if it is something that we as a commission decide is a prudent step forward, if it is in fact accurate that there might be an order issued on this by the 13th of December, I would say sooner rather than later to do all of the above. But I mean,
You're it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to complete an RFP process and hire somebody by December 13th, let alone get any work out of them. That's why I'm hesitant to start going down that road today, because it may be completely futile and just a waste of our resources. So we don't even know what the dates are at this point.
David.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, would it be appropriate for us to go into executive session so that Will and myself could give you the benefit of what we know at this point in time?
Vice President Fielder, do you have Robert's rules handy?
Well, I know we are permitted to go into executive session if we are going to discuss litigation strategy. But I think we could do this in a scheduled meeting, at a decent hour, rather than at this late hour of the day. And I think that the motion that we passed allows us to move forward timely, so I think the emergency is somewhat abated, and we could, schedule more time for this. We can add it to our calendar for next week, next Tuesday. It's up to the commission if they want to go into executive session now and discuss it, of course.
Yep, and you're right. We do have a motion on the floor, but just I'm going to allow a little bit of latitude. I see Ms. Lake step forward. So do you have something?
Yeah, Mr.
We'd like
President,
that.
if I may
Yes,
question
please.
to Commissioner Molnar. And Commissioner Molnar, this may be better served for our session later on, but if you would clarify if you intended to state a direct solicitation process or an RFP, that would be helpful.
I intend to use the exact same process or recommend or accept Will's recommendation on using the same one we use for a technical master. I believe that one is very quick, gets us to where we're going, and doesn't cost us anything other than some staff time. So whatever wording, wording I would need to add to this, I would consider that a minor edit and simply go forward with both at the same time.
Thank you, Commissioner Molnar. I just want to clarify that those two processes are very different, and we'd have to get Tina Limazend in here to explain. But we'd want to clarify that because they are very different processes.
I'm not quite sure what's different. I want to go with the same one for the same reasons that we use for the technical master.
It was, Mr. President, Commissioners, it was a limited solicitation, which requires that you get at least 3 bids. Like I said, once you had the scope of work, it went fairly quickly. We sent out the solicitation by email and got responses within a week, and were able to make a decision. But I emphasize, at that point, we had already developed the scope of work. In this case, and we had an appropriation specifically for this type of work. Here, there may need to be work to develop whatever the scope of work the commission wants these bid responders to do. And in addition to that, the commission may want to, as has been discussed, go into executive session to determine what we want to accomplish, what we might get out of intervention at FERC, and whether we have the budget and whether it's worth spending that budget on this purpose as opposed to other things. So
I have a question for staff. If we did want to pop into executive session to further discuss that, does that meet the proper requirements of maybe being able to do that at some point on Tuesday when the same day we're having a business session rather than this evening? I mean, what does that look like from a logistical standpoint?
Mr. President, I can answer that.
Go ahead.
We have to give 48 hours public notice, so you could give notice right now that you're going to add this, continue this on the agenda for next week, and then we can add it to the agenda and it will be publicly noticed here by announcing it at the meeting, but it does need to get added to the commission schedule and posted up. And I don't know if we have staff that's here to do that. So if we can't get that posted up in accordance with the public notice requirement today, then you could schedule it as an out of cycle on Monday, and then we'd be doing it Wednesday. But or you know what you could do? Here we go. Here's the Roberts Rules procedure for you. David, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but we could adjourn this work session to a time specific, and we can pick it back up since this one's already publicly noticed, and we could pick it back up and at whatever time we want to state right now. So if we want to pick it back up for our after our business meeting on Tuesday or before our business meeting on Tuesday, we could do that with a motion to adjourn to a time certain.
Chairman Wellborn, Vice Chairman Fielder, I think that point is well taken and would serve the purpose of the commission if that was your pleasure.
So if President Molnar, or excuse me, if Commissioner Molnar would be willing to withdraw his motion for now, I think that would clean this up, and then we could have a motion to adjourn to continue this after the during the Tuesday business meeting after the first two items are addressed.
Mr. President, Commissioners, or Phil, is there any reason why we couldn't do it on Monday? I've been fighting to get this heard and moving for almost 8 days now, and now that would make it 10. And by the time anything got posted and everything, we're looking at 15, and the 13th can be a drop dead day. So it depends on how FERC addresses it. This is quite possibly the biggest thing I've looked at in 20 years, and I really don't want to miss it because of attrition or concerns about staff time. If, in order to keep this alive, I have to withdraw it, I would withdraw it, but I would ask that we do this on Monday. Because after that is Thanksgiving. Even a bad road day could mess us up, so it's very important.
So I'm clear on this. It would be Monday, and it would be public notice, but it would be a closed session. Is that correct?
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Add in a few comments and questions for Vice President Fielder. It's my understanding that if we have a closed session, it would need to be publicly noticed, and so we'd need that 48 hours to do that. There are not 48 hours between now and Tuesday because that requires 48 hours of business days, so we need to be thoughtful about how we move forward in this. In addition, if we extended our session now, the same thought would apply that we'd need to provide public notice 48 hours of any closed sessions that we decide to partake in.
Mr. Chairman, it doesn't seem to comport with what Commissioner Fielder just read from Robert's rules. You might have to rule on this.
Well, I think first would be if we withdraw the motion that's on the table, then we could properly discuss another motion.
Well, I guess I would like more certainty that we could make this happen on Monday. That might decide how I'm going to vote on Commissioner Molnar's motion. I mean, if it is a closed session, it's something if we adjourn and make it time specific Monday, that could be for anybody that needs to use online capabilities or be here in purpose. But I mean,
Okay, Mr. President, I think I've got it here, looking at page 7 of the commission proceedings policy. So and Robert's rules isn't here, but under Robert's rules, we can adjourn this session, this meeting to a time certain. So if the commission wants to do it on Monday, we can. It would just be passing a motion to adjourn to a date and time certain. And then we would start back up right where we're at right here. And if we decide we want to go into closed session, the presiding officer may close the meeting by making the announcement under the parameters for going into a closed meeting during that meeting. And litigation is to discuss litigation strategy, and litigation is a allowable reason for going into to closing a meeting or a segment of a meeting.
okay, I think I understand that. So just one last question for staff. What would be a workable time on Monday to continue our discussion? It's morning, afternoon, late afternoon, mid-afternoon.
I'm checking the calendar. Give me one moment.
Yep, no,
Mr. President.
fair enough. No, this is worthy of our.
Mr. President, it's looking at the moment, and Barbara backed me up on this, 1 o'clock looks to be open for staff for the most part, from what I can see. Does anyone else have any input? I know Mr. Rosequist will not be with us.
I'm sorry, you know who, what?
Mr. Rosequist will not be with us on Monday.
R.I.P. How not with us are you going to be? Well,
PTO.
canceled next.
As long as it's not a TKO, right? Well, that seems like a reasonable approach to me.
It does. Real quick question for Will. So, assuming that we take either approach, or hopefully both approaches, if you're not here, I can have it almost all fleshed out as to what I think it would be in the request at the limited solicitation. Is there another staff member that you would recommend to flesh that out and drop it in with Department of Administration? We can always amend it later if something happened, but we can also amend whatever acceptance we would bring on as well. Because I cannot if you think I was stressed about a technical master, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Mr. President, Commissioner Mulder, I'm sure there are other staff here, especially your business manager, Tina Limison, who have relationships at State Procurement Bureau. And
Will she be here tomorrow? Or I mean, Monday? Does anybody know that she would be off or not off?
I'm not certain, but I'll confirm, and if she's not available, I'll be available.
Okay, thank you.
All right, would you, if you would so consider to
I
your
will
motion?
withdraw my motion for the purposes of moving forward as fast as possible. Because in reality, Will isn't going to write this tonight. So we're looking at Monday before anybody can do anything anyway. So yes.
Yeah. So, Mr.
Good, bud.
President,
Yes.
I move to adjourn this meeting to 1 PM on Monday, which is November 24th,
20-something.
24th. And would notice that we may go into closed session during that meeting.
Okay, is there a second? I second. All in favor of adjourning today and reconvening Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock? Is that the proper way to state that?
Yeah, the motion is to adjourn this meeting to
Adjourn.
1 PM, November 24th.
Duly noted.
All in favor?
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And in the meanwhile, if Elena, maybe you and legal staff can kind of work together in onboarding this, and then we'll continue the discussion, and let's just pump the brakes a little, and we'll open back up Monday and have that discussion.
I'll try to have mine as fleshed out with what all we're looking for.
If you would stay in close contact with
Oh, yeah.
staff as we're doing that, that would be good.
Mr. President, did the motion carry 5-0?
5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
I mean, we just did move to adjourn, so it's over.
Good.
Thank you.
Go Cats.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate everybody's efforts.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Green coming and giving us some information as well.